Hello again, everyone. Right, yes. Tonight we're going to be talking about Susan's illness during the trial, because I realised there was a part in the transcript where Susan goes down with this mysterious illness and some interesting stuff happens. So I thought, yeah, we'd just look at that. And instead of just reading out whole loads of the transcripts, I've summarised parts of it, and I'm just going to read out the parts where she's speaking. And then most of it happens in the judge's chambers, not in open court as well. And if you're watching this on playback, the most interesting bit is when I read from volume 80. There'll be chapters in the description. Go straight to that if you just want to get to the main point of it, basically. Yeah, but I've got a summary of part of the transcript, and I'm going to read out the bits where she actually speaks. And yeah, so it's a live stream. We'll just talk to the audience for a minute before I start reading. So hello everyone. Yes, and happy Christmas. It's nearly on us, isn't it? Now, how is everyone? I'm just getting over I think it was probably COVID. I didn't test for it, so I don't know. But yeah, I think it was probably the new variant of COVID. I've just had horrible flu-y type thing. Luckily, I'm getting over that now. And other people have had it as well, haven't they? It's been going all over the world. Crazy. Oh, no, yeah, and I was thinking of doing a stream the day after Christmas Day, what we call Boxing Day. So it'll be next Tuesday, because everyone's off for Christmas. Will people be interested in that? Because I want to redo the May Brussels stream. And yeah, I think some of the newer people probably weren't there when I read that out the first time. But because the audio quality is so bad on it, I want to do it again, because it ruins it completely if you try and watch it. And it's like there was a reason why I read that essay out, because it was because my channel, I sort of diversified it a bit, because I don't want to just be a channel talking about Charles Manson, And I'm interested in this whole period in history, and the case touches on so many other things. There's so many other things to talk about. That's the backdrop to this case, And yeah, that May Brussels essay brings up a few things that I'm interested in. But it's social history, the social history of this time period is just really crazy. The shit that went on and the shit people got away with. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Oh, God. That COVID strain was the worst month of your life. And it was the weaker variant. Yeah, well, this is the later ones, aren't it? Yeah. Now, I've had flu similar to it in the past, though. I didn't find it worse. But I think different people respond differently to it, didn't they? What? Wasn't it a big ball of dew from the drugs? What, you mean this case? As well, basically. Yeah, I think a lot of it. And I'm interested more in what they were trying to cover up as well, what they were trying to conceal, when they made up the cover story about these murders too. But yeah, I think it was basically caused in all ways by drugs, even, the murderers being so off their faces on drugs, drug damaged, probably drug damaged the amount they were doing, doing these murders. And also, I think the motive was probably to do with drug dealing as well, because it's very obvious these people were involved in drug dealing if you look at all the different crimes they committed. That's it. Oh, yeah. Well, what's made us sick? Yeah, I'll get into it now. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I put my Skulls and Roses top on. Yeah, should tilt the camera down a bit. There. Yeah, because it's the close to Christmas stream. Don't want to make a big fuss because it doesn't matter. Most people won't watch this at Christmas, will they? Yeah, just being festive. I'm drinking my Baileys. Yeah, that's it. Trying to cover up Hollywood and incompetence, yeah. And the fact that how many times these people were in court and should have been locked up before these murders happened. I look younger. Yeah, I've probably lost weight because I've been sick for the past month. Because before I had COVID, I had that weird long cold, which was not like flu. It wasn't as bad as COVID, but it was just a cold that dragged on forever that wouldn't go away. It's a nightmare. No, I'm Cancer. My star sign is, yeah. Yeah. Anyway, I'll get on with reading stuff out now anyway. Just to get it over with. Oh, no, I've removed it. There we go. These are the photographs of her around these days as well. You can see she does look quite ill. But yeah, I'm not sure exactly what day these were, but there's like 3 different days when she appears in court ill. Because there's a weekend, they recess for the weekends on. Right, so on Friday, August the 28th, 1970, and I'm going to be reading from volume 76 of the trial transcript. In the judge's chambers, Daishin tells the judge Susan wants to talk to him personally. She does not feel well, so they bring her into the judge's chambers. Right, and I will read now from the transcript. Right. The court. The record will show all counsel are present except Mr. Stovitz. Miss Atkins is present. The attorney said you wanted to speak to me. Defendant Atkins. This morning I asked my attorney to inform you I am sick. I've been sick all week long. I have gone to the nurses in Sybil Brand to ask for help. I have a female disorder. I have a cyst, either in my fallopian tube or my right ovary. It causes me extreme pain. You sent me out to Sybil Brand to be examined by a doctor. There is no doctor out there. I was called a liar when I got out there. I was bawled at by Nurse Gomez and told I had no right to inform the judge I was sick, that I could not sit in the courtroom. She told me that I told you. I told her I did not tell you. I told my attorney. I told her I did not ask to be brought out to Sybil Brand and that you, through your order, sent me. Your Honour, I am sick. I cannot sit in the courtroom. On top of being sick with physical pain, this is hurting not only my abdomen but hurting my heart. I can barely breathe. I am taken out and treated like a dog. I cannot handle it. I have begged for nerve medication out there. They will not give me nerve medication because the doctor out there says he does not want me sedated when I am in here. I don't know what it is that causes me so much pain. It has been a 2-year thing. I did not know I had it until I finally got examined by a doctor at Sybil Brand. He told me I had a cyst. I was put in the infirmary for approximately a week. I don't like to go up to that infirmary because every time I do, I am shoved aside as if I am nothing. I have seen women at Sybil Brand die because they did not get the proper medical attention that is required. I cannot sit in the courtroom any longer today. I asked them to please allow me to go back to Sybil Brand. The court. Of course, I called the doctor in to examine you this morning, and you were sent back to Sybil Brand at noon because your attorney told me you were still feeling bad. The reason I sent you back was to have you re-examined. Now you say you have been suffering from this for a week. Defendant Atkins. All week long. The court. Have you reported it to anybody? Defendant Atkins. Yes, I reported it to the nurses. I told them approximately the week of the 8th, the Labour Day weekend, that I would not be in court for 3 days, and they said maybe if the doctor found time he would examine me. I cannot go through this pain for another week. It comes and it goes. It is something that I have no control over. They cannot do anything about it, they say. They will not do surgery on it because I am not sentenced. I have not been convicted. The court. Who told you that? Defendant Atkins. By the law. The court. Did somebody tell you that? Defendant Atkins. The orders at the infirmary are that no inmate on the maximum side who has not been tried, sentenced and convicted goes into surgery unless it's an emergency like a heart attack or appendicitis. They won't do surgery on me because I am in trial. I cannot see the doctor all week because I'm here all day during the week. He is not there on the weekend. There is no way I can see that man. When I do see him, he hurt me so bad I wanted to hit him. I wanted to do that to a nurse today. She told me I'm a liar. Nurse Johansson told me, "What are you doing here?" I told her I did not ask to be brought here. The judge ordered this. I had nothing to do with this. All I did was tell my lawyer I was sick and requested not to be in court today. It causes pressure on every organ in my abdomen and in my back. The court. Who is the doctor out in Sybil Brand? The bailiff. I don't know offhand. Defendant Atkins. He is a short little man who looks at you for 5 minutes, writes something down and walks away. The court. Now are you able to go on this afternoon? Defendant Atkins. No, I am not able to go on this afternoon. I have tried. I can hardly sit here and talk to you. It hurts. The court. Now the doctor this morning said he was unable to find anything. Defendant Atkins. I don't have a fever. My pulse is probably normal. It isn't anything that causes me to have a fever. It is a cyst. It is on my ovary, in my female organs. You are men. You don't know anything about what goes on inside a female. I can hardly breathe. Mr. Shin. Your Honour, in view of the fact that she said, Your Honour, I would request a short continuance. Your Honour, it would be a defendant's continuance. The court. You mean a recess? Is that what you mean? Mr. Shin. Yes, Your Honour, for this afternoon. Defendant Atkins. When I get out there, I will get bawled out for coming into chambers, but I can't help it. The court. All right, I heard you. All right, well, you can go back out again, Miss Atkins. Defendant Atkins leaves the chambers and the court, after which there was an off-record discussion. Right. Basically, the judge says Inspector Welsh will make arrangements for her to be taken to LA County Hospital instead of back to Sybil Brand, where a gynecologist will examine her. They say they will announce she is ill and unable to continue until Monday. Right. So that's the first bit, basically. And so at the moment, they're saying it looks like a reoccurrence of this ovarian cyst she was diagnosed with when she first got to Sybil Brand, basically. And yeah, there's another bit, but yeah, just see what people are saying. Yeah. Syphilis, gonorrhea, and chlamydia, yeah. Well, we'll get to that in a bit. Yeah. She always had female and also intestine issues since childhood, I believe. Yeah, and we'll get to that as well, basically. But yeah, initially she's blaming it on an ovarian cyst. She thinks she's got an ovarian cyst because she was told she did have one when she first got put in prison, basically. Yeah. Because that would be drug withdrawals. Not by this point. She's been in prison for a long time. Because the only thing you would withdraw from is stuff like heroin or cocaine or whatever in it. And though apparently it's easy to get heroin in prison, but these girls, she was kept under isolation an awful lot as well. That's another weird thing, that I found when I'm reading, what she was saying in court. The amount of time that lawyer Caballero had her off, just like in isolation away from everyone else. It's really weird. Did she have 3 kinds of venereal disease? I heard she had gonorrhea. I never heard of any others. But yeah, people used to complain about her giving everyone gonorrhea, apparently. Yeah. She had a bad case of the gluts. Yeah. Yeah, well, like I say, we'll get to it. Right. Meth withdrawals as well. Yeah, could she have had meth in prison? They might have been giving it to keep her awake in court. They were fucking giving it out for every reason, weren't they? Oh, you've had a ruptured ovarian cyst, have you? Yeah. I'm sure it does hurt, fucking hell. But yeah, I'll get on now with reading out the rest so that we can carry on. Right, if we go back to this. Then volume 77 of the trial transcript. Still in the chambers, Dacian says Susan still doesn't feel well. Oh yeah, it's Monday, August the 31st, so this is like after the weekend. Suggests they didn't examine her properly or give her pain pills when they sent her to the hospital. They almost had to bring her in a wheelchair and she needed help from 2 other girls to walk. Says the doctor only took 10 minutes to examine her and took no x-rays. And the judge calls the hospital for a report. They tell him that they prescribed tests and pain pills that she has now been given. And they bring her into the chambers again. Then I've got to get to volume 77 of the trial transcript, right? And I'll show you how to navigate the transcripts. Right. This is on cielodrive.com. Right, volume 77. And they bring her in on page 6. The court. All right, let's bring Miss Atkins in. The record will show all counsel are present, and Miss Atkins is also present. Miss Atkins, what is your condition this morning? Defendant Atkins. It is about 5 times worse than it was Friday. I spent all weekend in the infirmary and did not get up. They have been giving me pain pills, and they don't do any good. I know that my body needs to knock out pains. The pains are like going through labour and childbirth. The court. Have you had this condition before? Defendant Atkins. Yes. The court. What treatment was given for it then? Defendant Atkins. I was rushed to the hospital. I was fed intravenously. This was in 1968. I went into a state of delirium, into another dimension. I was out of my head, crazy with pain. I am doing everything I can to keep from going into that state again. It is taking all of my energy just to move. The court. What did the doctor do with you over the weekend? Did he give you an examination? Defendant Atkins. I was taken to LCMC. When I left here, they locked me in a room, gave me 2 what looked like aspirins, and I blacked out. I was woken about whatever time the doctor got there. He examined me, looked up inside me, gave me an examination, and I screamed and begged him not to touch me. I was given 2 more pain pills. I was left alone and I was handcuffed and walked back to the automobile and driven to SBI and put in a little isolation ward in the infirmary. I collapsed on the bed and I did not get up, except to go to the bathroom, which hurts. I got back into bed. I was taken out of the infirmary this morning in a wheelchair because I could not walk hardly at all. I decided I'm going to walk anyway, and I walked. I had one hell of a ride over here, and I had to walk down the stairs. I almost felt I was going to faint and fall. We walked in the courtroom. I cannot sit in the courtroom and have this pain. The court. Did you receive any pain pills this morning? Defendant Atkins. I received what looked like 2 aspirins and a little brown pill. One nurse was nice enough to give me a Darvan, which took away, I would say, about 1/3 of the pain last night, so I could at least relax. The nurses out there don't do a thing. They walk in, they stick a thermometer in my mouth. I don't have a fever. They ask me how I'm doing, and I ask them for a pain pill. They turn around, walk out, and I don't see them again until they come back to take my temperature. I maybe get 6 aspirins a day. The court. Well, what is your condition right at this particular moment? Defendant Atkins. Right at this particular moment, I want to scream. I'm doing everything I can not to. The court. Do you want to scream because of the pain? Is that what you mean? Defendant Atkins. I would like to be doubled up in a ball somewhere in a hole. I am not one to complain about pain, but I can hardly stand this. The court. How long has this been going continuously now? Continuously since about Wednesday of last week, and it progressively gets worse. The court. Have you had this condition before, where it has lasted several days? Defendant Atkins. Yes. The court. What treatment did they give you? Do you know? Defendant Atkins. They stuck me in the infirmary and gave me pain pills. The doctor, I think, is giving me antibiotics to take down the infection. The court. When was this? That was when I first got to Sybil Brand. The same condition 11 months ago. Is that right? Defendant Atkins. Yes. He told me he would not do surgery until I was sentenced. That was their procedure. The court. Well, this was diagnosed by the doctor over the weekend. Did he tell you what it probably was? Defendant Atkins. He did not tell me anything. He examined me and he left the room and sent a piece of paper with the doctor's writing on it to the officers. I have not seen it. The court. He did not tell you what was wrong with you? Defendant Atkins. No. Does anyone have any questions to ask? Mr. Shin. Your Honour, I think if we can put a microphone upstairs, she can stay on a couch there and listen to the proceedings. That might be a solution. Mr. Stovitz. I don't think that would satisfy the case in California of being present, Your Honour, in the courtroom, especially today when we're going to put the testimony in regard to the hair. Of course, we could put it on at another time. The court. I don't want to proceed that way, at least at this time. Mr. Stovitz. I would submit that if the defendant is not malingering, that she should realise that she is going to have a recess for approximately 5 days next week. Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday and Wednesday. And that the doctors are doing the best they can. It is something that medicine can cure, temporarily relieve, then she should be given medicine. Now, I've gone through a couple of days' trial with a cold, and I have seen other counsel take pills, vitamin pills, and what have you. Defendant Atkins. Mr. Stovitz, they will not give me medication while I am in court. They don't want me drugged while I'm here. That's the doctor's orders. Mr. Bugliosi. Could the court order the doctor to give her medication? The court. To drug the defendant? Mr. Stovitz. Darvan is a very mild drug, Your Honour. The court. I don't think it's up to the court to get into this field of medical practice. They have to rely on the doctors for that. Mr. Bugliosi. This doctor might be thinking, though, that the reason why she can't have drugs in court is because of legal aspects. The court. I will try and get a hold of a doctor. What was the name of the doctor? Did you hear his name? Defendant Atkins. No. The court. I have a name here, Dr. Bolter, Bolter, but I am not sure. The clerk. That was the name the bailiff gave me, Your Honour. I have no way of verifying it. The court. I will try and get hold of Dr. Bolter. He made a report and a copy is being sent here, but we don't have it yet. I will try to reach out to him on the telephone. In the meantime, we will not commence the proceedings until I find out from what his opinion is as to her condition and prognosis, and what treatment, if any, is required, and so forth. Hopefully, I'll be able to find out within a short time. Mr. Shin. Your Honour, if this pain continues, will the court give me permission to bring in a private physician, a gynecologist? I understand the doctors work for the county hospital are so busy it's very hard for them to give a thorough examination. The court. I will consider that. Mr. Shin, then we can get 2 doctors' opinions. The court. First, I want to get on 1 doctor's opinion. Mr. Stovitz. Then will there be a 20-minute recess, Your Honour? The court. Well, we just won't commence until I find out. Right, yeah, and so that's enough. I think basically that's yeah, and that's it. Then we get to volume 80, so I'll discuss that with you again. The other things that jumped out at me, obviously, was the bit where she says they gave her 2 aspirins and she blacked out and she can't remember anything. That's quite crazy, isn't it? Yeah. Sorry, just looking at the chat for a second. Yeah, like I said, when we get to volume 80, that's the one where she talks about a doctor basically. I'm just going to read out a summary of what the doctor said because it will take ages otherwise. But yeah, it's like I say, it turns out not to be an ovarian cyst. Spoiler alert. Yeah, there was a bit when she said she blacked out. She couldn't remember anything when she was given what she thought was aspirin. And she says, yeah, they hurt her and they treat her badly, basically. She keeps on saying that they refuse to give her pain pills and they treat her like a dog and all this sort of stuff. It's always worth listening to because another concerning thing she said as well was she's seen women die at the Sybil Brand Institute because they didn't get medical treatment they needed, which is worrying. Yeah, that's it. She was tougher than she looked in pictures. Yeah, well, they must have all been quite bloody muscular because they did actually work on the ranch, didn't they, as well? They didn't just lie around there. They were actually looking after horses and stuff. I don't know, would it be withdrawals from speed? But I don't know because by this time they've been in prison for a long time, hadn't they? So I think most of the actual physical withdrawal would be over by now, wouldn't it? Because though they could still get drugs in prison, would they have enough to still be maintaining a habit on something like that? I doubt it. Yeah, that's it. That was the thing that jumped out at me. That was what I was talking about for the people that are interested in weird MK Ultra stuff. That's when she first gets to the hospital. She says they gave her 2 things that looked like aspirin, and she had a blackout. But yeah, if you read all the rest of it, it does sound like she wasn't at the hospital that first day for very long because the doctor just looked at her, ordered a load of tests, and sent her straight back to the prison. Didn't do anything. So she wasn't actually at that hospital for very long, or so it says. So they were told. That's weird. Yeah. Anyway, and this is the best bit. Well, the most interesting bit is volume 80. This is where we get to the bottom of what was actually wrong with her. The bottom being the active active phrase. And also, she talks about, she's already brought it up, hasn't she, that she was put in hospital before for it. Well, at that time she was talking about when she first got to prison. And she was saying it was an ovarian cyst then, but that was also when she had the gonorrhea, because apparently she says in her book she was nearly dead from gonorrhea when she first got to prison over the Gary Hinman thing, and they put her in the infirmary and had to treat her with antibiotics for that. So that was probably also causing a lot of abdominal pain for her. And as we'll get to now, I'll get on with reading it. Right, so September the 2nd now, 1970, which is volume 80 of the trial transcript. They bring Dr. Macron into the chambers and tell her to examine Susan, and they'll bring her into court to talk about her findings. In the court, she says she first examined her on Monday the 31st of August on the prison ward of LA County USC Medical Center. Says Atkins was complaining of severe pain on her right side of her abdomen going up her right side. Says at first they thought it was an ovarian cyst that had twisted, as she'd had one before. But after 2 gynecologists examined her, they said she didn't have any pelvic inflammation at all. And then they checked for pneumonia. Something about the pain radiating up the side might have meant it was pneumonia, but she didn't have pneumonia. And then they basically found she was constipated and gave her a series of enemas and prescribed stool softeners. Said that that could have been causing the pain. And they now think that the pain she says she's in is psychological from the anxiety, as it eases when they give her Valium. So she relaxes and falls asleep when she's on Valium. Though she's telling them that she isn't sleeping, they've seen her fall asleep. And on page 21, Daishin asked why they didn't request the records of the last time this happened, and they say they just didn't need to, because she also speaks about this happening just after she gave birth to her son. And Daishin says, why didn't you ever request the records of that to see if it's relevant? And she said, we just didn't need to. And they just dismiss it. So I just thought that was worth mentioning. I'm not going to read out from that page. Right, and then we finally get to page 42. Let me find it. Page 80. Volume 80, of the trial transcript. Because she disappears for a couple of days. There's another volume, all this stuff about this hair that they found in a comb and all that crap. And there's a ballistics guy, I think. Right, she's brought in a wheelchair. Yeah, and they say, is there any reason why she can't get up? And she does get up and get into she leaves the wheelchair and sits in the witness box. The court, you may proceed, Mr. Shin. Mr. Shin, thank you, Your Honour. Susan Atkins, a defendant, hearing called us as a witness, and on her own behalf, being first duly sworn, was examined and testified as follows. Direct examination. Mr. Shin. Miss Atkins, do you hear me? Yes. Are you in pain now? Yes. Are you able to answer my questions? Yes. And understand my questions that I ask you? Anything I don't understand, I will ask you to repeat. The court, what was the answer? The answer was read by the reporter, Mr. Shin. How did these pains begin? Last Tuesday. Last Tuesday? Yes. And where were these pains located? In my right side, my right lower abdomen. They go underneath my rib cage. If I take a deep breath, sometimes my heart will start fluttering. And in my lower back, it goes up my rib cage in my back. Have you finished? Yes. How do these pains affect you physically? Physically, right now, I'd like to be a little ball. That's how it affects me. It hurts. Are you able to walk because of these pains? If I could walk on foam rubber, I could walk. Fine. How does it affect you mentally? Mentally, yes. I'm doing everything I can to hold on to my sanity. Are you able to listen and hear what the proceedings are that are going on in court this morning? No, all I heard was a bunch of gobbledygook. Did you have these pains before, say years ago? Shortly after I gave birth to my first child, about a month later, I went into a state of delirium with pain. I went out of my head. I went into another dimension. And I'm doing everything I can to keep from going back to that place again, because it is not very nice there. And was this Miss Atkins about 2 years ago? Answer, 68. Did someone tell you that you had a cyst or something? I didn't know I had anything with me until I got to SBI, October 13th of last year. Then around November, I started complaining of pain to the doctor at Sybil Brown because I thought I was pregnant. He told me I wasn't pregnant. He gave me a pelvic examination and told me I had a cyst either in my tube or on my ovary. He put me on medication, pain medication, and he put me on, I think it was some kind of antibiotic to take down any infection. And I was put in the infirmary for about 4 days. Then I was released from the infirmary. Then I was taken to lockup, special housing, protective custody for 4 months. I got sick again, and I didn't eat anything for 10 days because I couldn't get off the bed. I was taken back up to the infirmary, and they said it was an ulcer. So they put me on an ulcer diet. I didn't have an ulcer, but I went ahead with the ulcer diet, anything they said, because it doesn't matter what I say is wrong with me. They're only going to believe what they want to believe and do what they want to do. Miss Atkins, do these pains sometimes come and go? No, it's continuous. Up until last night and the night before that, I think Monday night, I was given something to go to sleep with, and it helped me out, along with the Darvan and 2 aspirins. About 4 o'clock, the 2 aspirins get mentioned again. About 4 o'clock in the morning on Monday, I woke up. It didn't do me any good to yell or scream because there are other people in the ward, and I didn't want to wake them up. So I waited until the nurse came in to take my temperature and my blood pressure, and I asked her to please get me something for pain. I don't remember whether anything was brought in to me or not. All day yesterday, I kept complaining of pain. I slept very little, and when I didn't eat my meals, I ate very little, and I didn't eat all my meals. The girls around me took off my tray and put it by their beds. Monday, I was given an enema. It didn't do very well. Yesterday, I was given another enema and some yellow gunk to drink to go along with it, and took care of most everything. And the nurse came in with a syringe, and I have been watching and observing the other girls in the ward. And their syringes usually have about half an inch to an inch full of medication in it for pain. Well, then the nurses came in to give me my shot, which I felt was for the pain, and it was almost full. She gave me a shot, and the shot hurt, and I guess about 10 or 15 minutes later, I couldn't hardly stand up. And she came in and she gave me another enema. I barely remember having that. Then the girls told me this morning that I was taken out for an x-ray and I was given another shot. I don't even remember having another shot. I don't remember having gone to x-ray, and I don't remember having a third enema like they say I did. I woke up this morning about, I would say, anywhere between 3, and I will go along with the doctor at 5 o'clock in the morning, and I was hurting. I was hurting bad. I went and I banged on the door. Nobody came, so I went and crawled back in bed and I laid there. One of the other girls in the ward got up and she told me to go bang on the door again. So I went and banged on the door again. The nurse came in and she gave me what looked like 2 white aspirins, and I curled up. And then it may appear to some people that I am asleep if I'm curled up and I'm not moving. I'm not moving because it hurts to move, and I'm not asleep. All during the 2 days that I was at Sybil Brown, the nurse's report was that I slept fine and that I ate fine. Well, I didn't sleep fine. I didn't move off the bed, only to go to the bathroom, because to move was to hurt. If everybody wants to go ahead and think that my pain is psychological, let them think my pain is psychological. It is very physical to me. Do you know Dr. McCarran? Yes, I know her. This doctor sitting here, indicating, yes. Did she examine you? She came in with, I think, 1 doctor, and she pushed my stomach, and I would take her hand and tell her not to push because it hurt. And then she would come in with another 2 or 3 doctors, and they gave me pelvic examinations. One doctor gave me a pelvic examination so bad and so hard and so rough that he bruised me, and I've got a bruise on my inside as well as the outside of my skin. Tissue from where he was trying to feel for if there was anything on my cyst or on my ovary. This doctor here herself told me yesterday that there was a small growth on my ovary, but it didn't appear to be a cyst. Now, these medications that doctors gave you, do they relieve the pain? When they gave me what they called Darvon, no, it didn't relieve the pain. They gave me a little cup of yellow stuff before each enema. That didn't relieve the pain. The only time I have been relieved of pain was on Monday night when I got some liquid stuff that made me go to sleep along with 2 Darvons. I didn't sleep good. I woke up and I would go back to sleep, and I would wake up and I would go back to sleep. Every time somebody would walk into the room or there was the slightest noise, I would wake up. Then the pain started coming back early Monday morning. Last night, when they gave me those tranquilizers and those 2 shots, I was out. I was out of it. I don't remember doing anything. I don't remember having a third enema. I don't even remember the second shot after the first one. Now, do these pains cause you to have headaches or backaches or pain in your neck? Right now, I have an extreme backache, which goes along with the pain on my right side. Is this something that might give you headaches? I think I have had one bad headache. And you feel at present time you are in no condition to go ahead with the trial. If I could sit in the courtroom and not feel any pain at all, and be totally aware of what Mr. Bugliosi and Mr. Stovitz and what the other attorneys and the judge and everybody is doing here, I would be glad to sit here. But right now, in the condition that I feel I'm in, I cannot sit here. Would you be more comfortable in the softer or bigger chair or inclining chair? Would that help? If you want to bring me in a hospital bed, yes, I will stay in here. I have nothing further, Your Honour. Cool. Any questions, counsel? No questions, Your Honour. Right. So, yeah. You get another account of her saying she doesn't remember. She doesn't remember being taken to have an x-ray. She doesn't remember having a third enema, which must be something that's quite hard to forget, isn't it? You know what I mean? And she said, yeah, the girls told her that she'd been taken out, and she doesn't remember being taken out of the hospital, out of the ward. And that's another time. She said, yeah, and what she said were 2 aspirins, making her black out, and then being given loads of shots. And the doctor does say something, because the reason I haven't read it all out is these volumes of the transcript are actually quite short. So if you're interested, just go and read it yourself. The whole of volume 80, the doctor lays out everything they did, gives all the medical terms for it. And at one point, they said they gave her a shot of saline. So when she's describing that really big shot that was full, when she said all the other girls were having a smaller amount, that was probably just the saline shot they gave her. And that's to do with if she was dehydrated. See if that was causing the pain, I assume. Yeah. But yeah, that's an interesting thing. So they were trying to break her mind. Well, this is the thing, or find out what she knew, or whatever. You know, did they take her off and bloody put her under hypnosis to find out what she actually knew about what had really happened, or whatever they were trying to cover up? Did she know about it? Because there's always been rumors about Susan making some kind of pornographic video, isn't there, as well? There's a rumor that she was in a pornographic video with Jay Sebring, isn't there? Which is another thing that obviously will never get confirmed. But that's, you know, stuff like that. So they were probably trying to find out what she remembered, what she would say. And yeah, and another thing as well, in her book later in that, because a lot of that stuff, she says it all in judge's chambers, so it wasn't in open court. But when she's talking later about the time she gives birth to her son and that, she didn't talk about being rushed to hospital 10 days later in agony and all this sort of shit, you know. She says something, you know, it sounds like quite idyllic. And she does say something about being offered a clinic that she went to for a few days and that. But yeah, that's a whole other rabbit hole to go down, and maybe a follow-up stream, because I'm trying to find out more details about when she gave birth and that incident that she mentions, where she says after she gave birth, about 10 days after she gave birth, she ended up delirious with pain and going into hospital. And then it happened to her again when she first got to Sybil Brand Institute. She talked about that too. But yeah, it was basically bowel trouble, you know, that was actually causing her pain. And she's supposed to have always had bowel trouble. Yeah. Yeah, well, you can injure yourself giving birth. Muscles, you know, I've known women that have done that. They've like damaged some kind of muscle in their pelvic region when they were giving birth, and it's like you can get a condition where the muscle's just constantly contracting, and it's really hard to get doctors to diagnose it and do anything about it. You can get weird injuries like that, so it could be something to do with that. Because by the sound of things, she did actually give birth to the baby on the ranch. But I have read accounts somewhere as well. We're trying to verify it. But she says in her book it was like really idyllic, and they just slept on a nice clean bed. They bought clean sheets and all this sort of stuff. But I have read an account somewhere that said there was some kind of complication after she gave birth, and they ended up both being in hospital, and the baby was in an incubator. And so, we're trying to verify that. And maybe that is what she's talking about, because she doesn't mention that in her book later, and she never talks about that in open court, but she does say in the judge's chambers that 10 days after she had her baby, she ended up getting rushed to hospital. Yeah, I'm not sure. Probably. I think, yeah, because that's probably why he ended up being taken to hospital, isn't it? And, yeah, like I said, I'll get into this on another stream, but the account she gives of how she gave birth sounds very similar to what, if you've read Lynette Fromm's book, Squeaky's book, how they describe Pooh Bear's birth, Mary Bruner having Charles Manson's baby. So it sounds like she's just quoted reciting what she saw happening with Mary Bruner, basically. And that wasn't how she gave birth. Maybe because the memory of how she gave birth was so traumatic, she just didn't want to think about it. But for some reason, she lied about the circumstances of her. 2 months premature. So, the baby must have had to be in hospital, because that baby wouldn't be able to survive without being in an incubator if he was that premature. And so we're trying to verify that. We're trying to work out what clinic she really went to and all this sort of shit. But yeah, surprised she made it on as she did. Well, she was only about 21, wasn't she, when she got sent to prison? So she only had a couple of years to abuse drugs and alcohol and that, So, she was probably, all right. Yeah, as Zoe said, I read somewhere recently as I was researching this, they eventually changed his name to Paul. So they actually called him Paul. They didn't call him Zizos, yeah. And I heard the reason was as well, Charles Manson told her to give him a name that had the letter Z because he would be the last in alphabetized lists of people's names. But they seem to have misunderstood, because usually that goes by your surname, doesn't it? And his name was Glutz. His surname was said to be Glutz, which is G, isn't it? So that's quite near the beginning of the alphabet, isn't it? Bloody strange people. And he got part for adoption, hasn't he? And he's never come forward, is it? There's only people that come forward claiming to be Charles Manson's son, isn't there? There's never been anyone come forward claiming to be Zizos. Who knew? Did they name him Canadian Paul? Or did she call him Paul after... Yeah, wasn't Caruso called Paul? Was he Paul Caruso? Her lawyer. Immunity as well. Yeah, well, this is it. She was doing all the Mendocino stuff during her pregnancy. So they were selling acid. This is when they got nicked for giving acid to minors. Though they were close to being minors themselves. She was only about 18 or 19, So it kind of sounds worse than it is. But there was the kid that went home and said his legs felt like snakes. And his mother freaked out and they all ended up getting nicked, didn't they? Yeah. Yeah, he got adopted by an attorney. Yeah, who knows? Because when did they take him? Did they get him back after the Spahn Ranch raid? Because I know they took a lot of the kids. They took the kids for the Spahn Ranch raid, didn't they? And Linda, I think Linda was the only one who actually got the baby back, wasn't she? I don't think did. They keep all the other kids then? Yeah. Yeah, all the diseases and the drinking combined. So you see, I've done a post. I should do a stream about this, about fetal alcohol syndrome, because I've always thought, looking at Susan, she looked like she might have this thing, because she says in her book her mother was a heavy drinker. So there's a chance. And also, but as I was looking at the pictures of Susan, I suddenly noticed that Charles Manson has the same features for fetal alcohol syndrome. Because back in those days, they didn't tell women not to drink heavily during pregnancy, did they? In fact, they recommended women drink stout in this country, like Guinness. They recommended that women drink that every day and shit like that, and it was considered quite extreme to give up smoking and drinking for a time, wasn't it? Completely stop. And for that sort of shit, they actually still encouraged it. And and obviously Charles Manson's mother, she swapped him for a jug of beer when he was a child. Chances are she drank while she was pregnant with him as well, didn't she? Yeah, well, they didn't appear to drink a lot at the ranch. I've not heard of them drinking whiskey or out like that, you know what I mean? So he encouraged drinking. They didn't seem to be into drinking. I bet they did, though. It's weak beer, though. Americans usually just drink tons and tons of really weak beer, don't they? So I wonder if they had, crates of beer. and stuff like that. Bikers are bound to have been wanting to drink beer and wine as well. Apparently, the bikers were all drinking fucking gallons of cheap wine and shit, weren't they? Mm. But yeah, it's an interesting point. I've not heard of the Manson family drinking heavily, or any of them ever causing situations because they was drunk. It was all like acid, or other drugs, isn't it? Well, acid mainly they're associated with, isn't it? The Mendocino stuff was all about distributing acid. That's my main connection that I think they might have had to any MK Ultra type shit. I think they might have sent them out to distribute LSD, not realizing how wrong it was going to go, basically, with them. Because at the time, they looked like they was going to end up being a folk rock band, didn't they? When they first set off from the Hate in their bus. So I wonder if they were set up to distribute LSD, and it just fucking went horribly wrong along the way. Because they were all such criminal, deviant people. There are no pictures easy, yeah. Actually, DiCarlo's son. Is it the only one? It's from a distance as the cops are about to remove him from her arms. Yeah, I've seen that picture of her with the baby, and he looks very small. I have to say that, considering what? Because he was born in October of '68, so he'd have been a year old. And the baby that she's holding does look very small. I think she did, because she was arrested first for the Gary Hinman murder, weren't she? Not the Manson murder, sort of thing. So she got nicked. I'm not sure exactly when she got nicked, but I think she got nicked before anyone else. And then she started to tell her story to Ronnie Howard and all that, didn't she? You know, that's when it all gets fucking crazy. And Caballero was her lawyer for the Gary Hinman murder. And while she's in for the Gary Hinman murder, she starts talking about the Manson case. Yeah, that's it. That's another weird thing that she says. She goes into another dimension and she don't want to go back there because it's not nice and that, which is weird, isn't it? And I want to know what hospital she really went to. There's a clinic that she mentions in her book. But like I say, she makes it sound really idyllic, and she doesn't talk about being in pain in her book. And like I say, this is not stuff she said in open court, so she obviously didn't want to talk about this. She was saying it because she was having medical problems at the time, you know. Yeah. Yeah, that's it. And that's another weird thing, you know, about Susan, that how much she was kept separate from all the other prisoners, not just the other Manson girls, everyone. And why? What were they doing to her, really, you know? Yeah. Alcohol was looked down as being uncool with the hippies. They liked wine, though, didn't they? They drank wine and that. And Altamont, if you read about Altamont, they were all fucking drinking cheap wine. That sort of shit, weren't they? Yeah. But yeah, I've never heard of them drinking. That's one thing that they didn't seem to do at the ranch. You know. Yeah, Mike said earlier, 2 months premature, yeah. So yeah, he does did look small in the photograph. The baby that she's holding doesn't look like a year-old baby. But I'd have to look at it again. I haven't really analysed it because it's from quite far away as well, so it's hard to tell. But you can see by how she's holding the baby, you know, it's very small. Wouldn't say it looked like a year-old baby, so he must have been quite sickly. When did she testify to killing him? And that's in the penalty phase of this trial for the Tate LaBianca murders. She says that she feels bad because Bobby is on death row, so she's just trying to exonerate Bobby, basically. And we know that she didn't kill him, and that she was equally accountable. And well, apparently Bobby stabbed him in the chest, but he was still making noises, and she's supposed to have covered his face with a pillow in the end. So maybe she felt like she did kill him, but I think his real death was from the knife wound to his chest. You know, Bobby has taken full accountability for it, hasn't he? You know. But I think she was just trying to exonerate Bobby. But she says during the penalty phase, because I didn't read that out yet, because I want to read that out and compare it to what Leslie says as well. Because Leslie made an account where she said she was at the Hinman house and she wasn't. And she said she saw Susan do it. But the account she gives of how Susan did it is completely different to what Susan says. So I wanted to compare the two things. I'll play the clip of me reading out Leslie confessing to seeing Susan do it. She said Bobby left and Susan was left alone with Hinman and she did it. Well, there's another picture. Now there's one by a June buggy with Mary, Pooh Bear and Lynette, and everyone thinks Susan is holding a baby with her leg perched up, but come to find out that's not her or the baby. Or what? in the picture, so it's not even Susan. It's just another girl holding a baby. Yeah. Well, no one really knows where most of these kids went, do they? So I screenshotted the little bit where it mentions the children. There was a boy that sounds like he was about 10. Must have been 10 as well. He was named DiCarlo. So, like, did Danny DiCarlo have a 10-year-old kid with him for some reason? Was it his brother or his son or what? Yeah, they caught Bobby driving Gary Hinman's car with the murder weapon in the car as well. Goes to show these people weren't criminal geniuses, doesn't it? You know what I mean? No, your parents are close. You see, my parents weren't heavy drinkers, and I just do drink for fun. I don't like binge drink. Well, I used to drink to fucking be depressed, but that's oh god, but that's just ridiculous, isn't it? No, I just drink for fun. It's just festive, isn't it? At the moment, helps you get through. And I try not to. What do for suppose? Yeah, for Bobby for driving around in the car with the murder weapon. Yeah, he should have got a cab. We're just gone for a walk because I said he was trying to clear his head or whatever. Yeah, Bobby was pretty dumb on it. Yeah. You always get busted because of the stupid henchman. Yeah. Yeah, I got a terrible headache last night. I was drinking snowballs around my friend's house, and I came back home and I made myself a Bailey's hot chocolate, and it gave me a fucking terrible headache, and I went to bed with a headache. Because I haven't drunk for the last week because I've been ill, and it zaps your immune system, doesn't it? You shouldn't drink while you're ill, so I'm trying not to. Yeah, I'm gonna, like I say, I'll do the May Brussels stream on Boxing Day then, because no one said, "Oh God, no, don't do it then. We can't do it." Boxing Day, which is the day after Christmas Day for the Americans. Yeah, you have no idea what that means. That's like Tuesday night, midnight UK time, so it's midnight of Wednesday basically for us. But to Americans that'll work out Tuesday evening, won't it? And I'll reread the May Brussels thing because it's annoying how bad it is. There's so much we get cut out. And she mentions Janis Joplin's death as well, and her girlfriend's just come out and made a statement. But I don't believe what she said. She said something. She said that she thinks Janis Joplin actually died of a head injury, but she could have bloody just fallen down and hit her head as well, and died of a heroin overdose. Could have been both things. And it sounds like the reason she's saying it is over the years she's been blamed for enabling Janis Joplin's addiction. So she's trying to make herself feel better, basically saying, it wasn't heroin that killed her, it was she fell over and hit her head. But no, apparently her autopsy found she had taken a heroin overdose, so yeah. But they didn't find needles and any evidence, but the people probably just cleared it up before the ambulance got there and shit like that. That's what people did in those days, The hotel people wouldn't want it to be found out that she'd done drugs in that hotel, and all that sort of stuff. Oh, what, you burnt your cheesy pasta? Were you too engrossed in this and you forgot? Should set a timer on your phone. That's what I always do now. Because, smoking weed and drinking and sitting and reading about Charles Manson. You can get distracted. Right, well, I've been going for 50 minutes now. What I might do is come back and do a after show. Because, I think we've covered this. Basically, and like I say, I might come back if I can find out more information. On this, if I can find out more information about her actually getting admitted to hospital, because in this she makes it sound really nasty and traumatic, like 10 days after he was born. But I've also heard that the baby was premature, and if he was premature, he must have been in hospital when he was first born, And I need more explanation for that and what happened to her then, Yeah. Yeah, anyway, so I'll end this and I'll come back in about 5 minutes. I'll do an after show. So, just watch the YouTube notifications. Excellent. Right, thanks for coming. And I'll see you on Tuesday if you want to. Yeah. Like I said, I'll come back in 5 minutes and do a after show for a little while. Okay. Right. I'll see you